So what are going to be the big meta challengers from Blazing Dominion? Now make sure you guys smash the link crap out of that Fata dragna button so you guys don't miss out on more else kind of. This is, I think, one of the most interesting cards that we got out of this set because it's two monsters with the same type of attribute but different levels. Oh, I see. We're getting creative here. Was this supposed to be like the anti-Cool Tune card? But your opponent cannot target fusion monsters. You control card effects. If this card is sent to the graveyard as material for a fusion summon, we can special summon a fusion monster from the extra deck in defense position, but negate its effects, and then return it to the extra deck during the end phase of, also for the rest of this turn. You cannot special summon from the extra deck. So if your opponent super polys with this, you get another body on the field. This is an interesting card. I didn't think the TCG had it in them to produce something like this, but I'm kind of excited to see, you know, where we're supposed to go with this. You know, what's our long-term payoff with Fata Dragna? Will it see play? I wanted to leave it here because, like, this is the wild card of the set. Start things off. Now we have the Charmer Quartet in Bloom. This card, I think, in a lot of weird scenarios, is one of the best cards in this set. It's a Link 4 that doesn't have the greatest stat line, but it can revive two monsters with the same attribute, different types, or same type, different attributes. And then it protects those monsters for the rest of this turn from being used as material for another summon. Which, when you think about it like that, that is really, really strong. Now, there's not a lot of decks, I think, right now that are going to look at this card. Obviously, when we get the new Dark Magician support in the near future, then we're going to get the opportunity to see how this card becomes a lot more dangerous. I think in terms of meta application, this is the long-term game, and that's fine. You're allowed to have cards that are going to have long-term impact in the future, and the Charmer Quartet in Bloom is one of those cards that I would recommend you keep an eye on. The Jack Atlas stuff. So, it's crazy to put this in a top power scaling in consideration to some of these other cards in this set, but this is purely a respect thing. I think there are going to be a lot of players that are going to walk into this current format that are going to not acknowledge Jack Atlas. They're going to be like, oh, this deck isn't good. And then they're going to get slapped by a bunch of large boss monsters. They're going to get their entire field wiped. I think it's the graveyard and the field wipe that is going to take a couple of very arrogant players by storm. I do think that the Jack Atlas package as a whole does have some very broken tools in its disposal. And, you know, getting hand-trapped will be a slight problem that this deck is going to have to overcome. But that's not necessarily saying that the deck itself is going to be bad. It's just going to be a symptom of, you know, how's your setup going to go. But if you do not acknowledge Jack Atlas's large boss monster as a potential threat, depending on the deck you're playing, you're going to have a bad time going forward. Clowns. Clowns are not only a budget option for this format, but they are incredibly crazy for the things that they can do. If you are not prepared to, like, get Majesty's Vanities, a particular, like, extremely left-fielded floodgate monster coming out of nowhere and just bonking you on the head, you're going to be very, very shocked by what this deck can do. The Clown deck got some crazy draw power. And the fact that Konami printed pretty much the entire Clown deck all in low rarity is a very welcoming thing. So this one is a win for, like, budget players. It's a win for, you know, just the general setup in general for this package, because Konami actually went to town with this, and I'm actually kind of excited about that. So we'll see where this goes. But I think the budget Yu-Gi-Oh! Got a pretty major win. Now we have Rahamu. Rahamu is such a stupid good card. So while this Link Summon card is face up on the field, we can normal summon a level 5 or higher monster without tributing. Okay. During the main phase, you can quick effect, average effect resolves, normal summon a level 5 or higher dark monster. So I can get a dark additional summon. I can get a normal summon of anything that's level 5 or higher. Oh, okay. And then during your end phase, you can reveal any number of monsters in your hand, place them on the bottom of the deck, and then draw cards equal to the number placed. Why does this card do so much for a common? I really do think the Rahamu is one of the strongest cards in this set, just for the strange amount of utility that this card does. Like, surely a card that does all of this has to have some sort of extremely good value somewhere along the way. And I do think that that is the case. I think that this card is very, very, very powerful. Now we have Dominus Spark. So Dominus Impulse is still at full power here in the TCG. That means that we might see a time where you might be getting bonked upside the head by 6 copies of Dominus. Because Spark and Impulse are going to go hand in hand. Now, the thing is, Spark banishes something. If you play it from the hand, I mean, you get locked out of 4 colors. But I mean, like, if I'm playing Malice, I'm playing all dark anyway. Like, that lock does not matter. Spark will be a little bit more limited in the decks that will choose to play it. But I don't really think that that's going to be much of an issue. I think when you're looking at the tool sets that are kind of available, I think as long as you are aware of its existence, you can't really play around it, because it's just like, well, if you go into a combo piece and your opponent blast it, you know, you're just kind of like, well, at least you can special summon another one from the hand. I mean, like, that's a win, right? Solemn Accusation. As a Sky Striker player, I'm asked each and every day, am I scared shitless of Solemn Accusation? I don't think so. I mean, like, it will be a card that we'll see play, but that means that, like, you're going to take away cards from other matchups. And if Sky Striker doesn't take off here, in, like, a crazy meta, you know, filled change of events, then I mean, like, how good is Solemn Accusation actually going to be? I mean, it is still a good card. Obviously, making it so you can blast literally anything is extremely good. Obviously, you know, we lost Judgment, but having Accusation, being able to have it be used in the same turn it's set, is another little interesting upside to what the card actually can do. Just be aware that, you know, if you're playing Sky Striker and you get Accusation, you're probably going to be picking your cards up and crying, because that's just kind of how that card works. We've also got Elvennotes out here. I think Elvennotes are going to have probably one of the better setups this block, because not only do you get a new Elvennote that lets you go quick effect dodge. Like, the reason why, like, some of these Elvennote cards are extremely good is because, like, you could affect them on the field and then you'd be fine. But now they can activate the Elvennote effect, use this, tribute or blast off the Elvennote that just activated its effect. So if you had, like, a targeting effect negation on it, you know, your whole, like, plan just kind of crumbles apart there. That's why this new Elvennote is good. And it also, like, recurs itself back, too. Like, this card is really, really good, man. They did so good by creating an Elvennote extender that would initially, you know, kind of help this deck out and actually make sure that you can get your Congo line of things going. I do think that this is probably going to be one of the stronger decks of the block, for sure. And then, of course, Cool Tune. This deck is, you get hand peak knowledge, obviously, like, another additional normal summon extender for the deck. Like, Cool Tune just has it all right now. Rotary was kind of like the icing on the cake for the deck, and obviously now that you can start peeking into the extract and start to control more of these options away from your opponent, like, it really just kind of turns into an absolute dumpster fire of knowledge, control, and craziness with combo. And obviously, I'm not necessarily looking forward to dealing with this deck because it is incredibly powerful for what it wants to do. Obviously, you know, Synchro Good Stuff piles do tend to have a lot of craziness within the block. I'm a little bit scared of this deck. Especially, like, if you're not necessarily prepared for, you know, the way that the deck is going to kind of interact in the future. And then we have Harmonia. If there's a card in this set that is going to be crazy, you know, you get to Foolish Burial specific synchros, you get the ability to control your opponent. It's a giant tuner monster. Like, there's just so much that Harmonia does, and it works generically too. Like, Vanquish Soul even was playing this in the OCG, man. Like, why is Vanquish Soul playing this? It's going to be the most expensive card in the set by like 100 miles. I know a lot of players don't want to hear that, but Blazing Dominion's got some incredibly broken meta cards, and not a lot that a lot of people are going to want to see. That's for sure. But please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here in the day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.